Hey everyone, Mac is back. Today I want to discuss just the formations that you have in battle. I'm going to go over the ones that I have and why I have them, kind of just to do a kind of a brief explanation as to why I do, and maybe even throw in a few tips here and there to based on the formation that you have as well. So let's get to it. So these are the basic 5 formations that I have. I specifically use these pure cav, pure infantry, and pure spear for the rebel camps, just to try to limit the damage that we are doing for your alliance mates, so I can try to be as strong as I possibly can. I know some people don't care about that, and I don't want to try to weaken my alliance by throwing a kind of makeshift willy-nilly, so to speak, formation in there. So that's something that I just try to do as well. As everybody probably knows, if you watch any of my videos, you know my main formation is infantry spear. I've also added a spear infantry as well. So I'm not very cav oriented, even though I do have some cav commanders in for this one as well. But kind of my main one up here, as you can see, is the infantry spear. And in reference to that, basically I have 3 total attack commanders in there. Julian is a total attack commander just because he buffs all 3 troop types, so it's very nice to have about that 70% I believe infantry attack and spear attack in this formation. Annie is actually a total attack, total defense, total health commander, same thing as Seg. So when you're infantry, when you're buffing that front line, I used to have with the awakening of Lats, I have her in there now instead of Barrett, because Barrett was the one before giving me 30% health and defense of my infantry front, which was fantastic. But now with Lats, even when I only have her in epic, first of all she's gonna throw in, you can see, an extra 4,000 army troop size. So now my army size went up 4,000. Plus, if you throw a 50 or 75%, my army size goes up even more, and there's more power as well. Now, you can see on the screen there that her infantry, health, defense, and attack are all 16%, where Barrett's was 30% attack. Health and defense. So you're probably wondering, well, why would you go with the 16% across the board compared to the 230s? Well, there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, the 16% is very deceiving, because she has passive abilities, and her passive abilities that I have right now that I've unlocked puts her at about 28% across the board for her health, attack, and defense, which is almost in line with Barrett, but you're also getting the 28% attack as well. So actually she is, and plus if you add on the troop increase in troop size, army size there, then you're actually getting much more. She's a much better commander to have in that front line. So this is going to help me out tremendously in that aspect. And then having Chris unlocked, awakened, again, you're going to get that 48%, plus his passive ability, so he's high up there as well. So this is actually probably the best formation for me. There's talk of Arya being unlocked, or being awakened, I'm sorry. So if she is, then that might change, because she gets the total attack in there, and that might go up to maybe like a 30% or so, maybe 40%, depending on what it is. So to get that total attack might actually be really, really good. And she has defense, infantry defense. So if she gets that, then that's another probably 50, 60, 70% there. Is that enough to kind of trump what Chris gives you? I don't know. I'll do that numbers. We'll figure out those numbers whenever that happens. But definitely not Haley. I mean, she only has the infantry attack in there. Plus her passives would be everything else, but just not enough. Just looking at these different different commanders. Someone that you're going to want to upgrade for this type of formation, and now they have all these different commanders out there, is the new one that was just released recently. It was which is Patello. And the reason you're going to do that is because he gives that total health to that front line, plus he also has that spear attack and infantry attack for this formation. And so if you're running a spear infantry or infantry spear, once you get him up high enough, his main abilities his main attacks will be really, really good for that type of formation. Now looking at a pure cav formation, so if my cav formation is going to be my only formation, I'm only going to have cav, but this is still very similar, I would think, to even if you had, like, say, a cav you know, cav infantry or cav spear. If you had one of those other two formations that would be, you know, that are possible, then this is actually not bad either, because you're going to get, you know, Rob in the front there is going to be do you really, really well with his 30%, you know, his defense and his health, and then his passive abilities. He has all three of the cav abilities, which is great as well. And then Merrill also gives you the cav health for that front line, and then some attack. And then you have your total attack commanders here. So those three are just going to be staples in pretty much every formation that I have, based on what I have going on here. So if we dig into it a little bit more, and you want to check out some other commanders to kind of see, well, Jean, she gives you defense, which is very good. Mango gives you oops, let me get him down there. There we go. Attack and defense. So he would actually be better than Gene. And then Russell gives you just the attack. So you wouldn't want that either. Now, Kevin would be a pretty good one too, because he gives you total health and total attack. So if you had him gold, he might you might want to put him in instead of Merrill, because Merrill gives you that 30% attack. But he would also give, if you had Kevin in there, then you would get the 15% attack for front and back line, still of 30%, but you'd lose out on, he would have total health would be just 15, where you'd lose out on 15% health there. So maybe that's not something that you would want to do. If you had Layla, you know, if you had her unlocked, then you definitely want her in there, because she has defense and health for that front line, plus the total attack. So, and plus her ability once you awaken her. So she's someone who's probably a priority for you to do that. So I would definitely consider her, consider that as well. If you had Enzo upgraded to, you know, a gold capacity, you can see he'll be 40% across the board as well. So that would be another one that you would want to consider also. And then there's another, I believe there's another commander. I want to say it is it Ray? Infantry, there you go. So if you're using, this is infantry and cavalry, or cavalry infantry formation, depending on which one you have, because if you have Ray up there, you know, to gold, then right there she's a perfect commander for an infantry cav or cav infantry formation. So she's going to be one of your staples as well, because she'll give that frontline boost 15% as well. So that's another one you could consider if you have cavalry as either your front line or your back line, because she's going to get boosted up to you know, boost that percentage up quite nicely for you. So something I want to do with you right now is I want to change one of these formations, because the spear infantry and the spear are identical. So they're essentially the same commanders that I have in there, because, you know, that's what you're going to want to buff that front line of the spear in both of those. So that's kind of what you want to keep them both the same. And as you can see as well, when I did a pure infantry one, it's exactly the same commanders on those ones as well. So I want to change this, and I want to, instead of having it I kind of want to change it to an infantry cav formation. And the reason I want to do that is because although my cavalry are not that strong in my main account here, it's actually not a bad idea to have that as a counter, because if you face an infantry spear formation, you know, a pure infantry would be the proper counter for that for my account, because my cavalry are not that great. But even though a infantry cavalry formation is the perfect counter for that. So let's just go edit that, and I'm just going to walk through and just talk to you about how I'm going to be doing that. So as you can see right here, I have it set up as the spear formation. So we're just going to go in and change that, and we're just going to make it an infantry cav formation there. So that'll be save that, so it's changed. And now we want to go with the commanders. So the commanders that you're going to want to keep in there are definitely my three main ones. So I'm going to get rid of the other two, and that's where I'm going to want to try to get, since it's an infantry cav, I want as much attack as I possibly can in that second line. Now when it comes to Rob, he doesn't have any attack in his base stats there. He only has a little bit of attack in his passive stats. So actually, we'll probably come back into this, but let me go and see exactly what that is. So as you can see from his hidden abilities, that his cavalry attack is only 9%. So that just tells me that I'm not gonna, where I have him upgraded right now, it's not the type of a commander that I'm going to want because he has basically defensive stats. So we're going to leave him out of this formation. So here we are back in, and if we look at Jean real quick, she's defense, don't care about that. We'll look at Mango. He gives 30% attack and then 30% defense. Russell gives just the 30% attack. Merrill gives 30% health and 30% attack. So he's probably one that you want to put in there. And it's always nice to have that cavalry attack, or that health in your second line as well, just in case that an army, a tough army, might break through to that second line. It's good to have a little extra health there as well. So it's just kind of a safety net in that respect. Kevin, I don't have him completely upgraded yet. I'm very close. I think I only need maybe 10 or 15 more medals to get him gold. So he would be a really good for pretty much any formation, seeing that he has total health and total attack. Now, right now it's only 6%, so that's really not that good. We're looking for attack only. Another, again, 3%, not very good. Witten is 12% there with the enemy infantry health reduction -6, and defense reduction looks like 4%. So that's not bad, but 12%. Enzo would be pretty good too, but he's more of a frontline guy because he gives you the health and defense, so you don't really with that. Liana gives you defense, attack, and health as well. But you can see Enzo is at 8%, and she's at 6%. So he would be the higher one because he has a lot more there. And then Raymond's absolutely nothing whatsoever. So going back up here, I think we're looking at Mango because he has the cavalry attack 30% and the cav defense, which again, that's always nice to help you there as well. So just kind of going over that, you can kind of see where we are. And then if I scroll, actually I don't have to scroll, it's right here. So you can see the cavalry attack is at 281%, and that's without me putting any of my buffs on or anything like that. So, and then you can see the commander bonus there. So just from my commanders, I'm getting 134% cav attack. So most of that's going to be coming from Julian. 60% of that comes from Merrill and from Mango. So that's a nice little bump there as well. Then you have the 2 total attack commanders as well. So that's the best formation for my infantry. So I'll confirm that. And my infantry cav, that's really, really good. You don't have to worry about messing with the numbers here either. But it's I guess something I didn't consider, and I should have at least explained, is that so Rob actually gives you 4,000 more troops, but again with a 9% attack and 4,000 troops, that's really not enough for me to replace him, put him in and replace one of these 2 commanders here. So I want to keep what I have there, make this infantry there, and then I want to go here, and I want to make sure you change the formation as well, because you don't want to be going with a backwards formation and you really screw things up. So make sure you put in your infantry cav formation there, so that when you do, you have that saved, and then boom, there you go. You don't have to use anything. But now I have an infantry cav formation, so that's really, really nice to have there as well. And then the other formation I said, I had the infantry spear, which is completely identical to my infantry formation. So let's change that one as well. So I'm actually not going to change this to these formations at all. I'm just going to rename them a little bit, and I want to explain why I'm doing this. So for instance, the one we just did with the infantry cav, the reason that I put in these 2 in the back here is because instead of having them for that infantry front line, like if I did that, then I would have Latz and I would have Chris in there, and I would just be this same formation, infantry spear would be infantry cav. The reason that I put in Merrill and that I put in Mango is because I wanted that cavalry attack of 60% between the both of them. And typically you wouldn't want to do this if you were an infantry cav formation. You would want to put more infantry defense and health in there, so you would probably switch that. My cav are actually pretty weak, and that's the reason why I'm sticking with Mango and sticking with Merrill. So right now I really kind of have a dead spot when it comes to this infantry spot right here, because it's completely identical to this infantry spear. So technically this says infantry spear. It should just say infantry front, and then I could have anything behind it, infantry cav. Well, I would have infantry cav behind it, but I don't have that because of the reason I just stated. So I'm going to have basically 4 formations, I apologize. So we're going to have the infantry spear, which is my main one. Then I have this infantry cav where I add a little bit extra attack from that back line. I have a pure cav one. So this pure cav one could be, again, I think I'm just going to change the name, because if I have cav spear, I'm still not going to change the commanders in here because I still want his health, cavalry health, and I still want his cav defense and health. So I want these 2 commanders for that front line to buff it. And then I have the other 3 commanders with total attacks. That's why they're in no matter what. So this is actually going to be the same as similar to this last one here. So I'll just edit that. I'll go in here, and instead of making it just pure cav, I'm going to make it cav, and then I'm going to make it infantry/spear. That way, oops. That way I know that the cav is the front line, and it doesn't matter what that back line is. I just know that I have enough buffed in that front line to be able to do it. So I'll confirm that. I will save that. The only difference I guess would be that formation. So if I come back in there and I say, and I want to change this to, I have it right now at cav infantry. So I guess that's where that's where the change would be. So I say I have it as cav infantry, so I'd have to make sure I come back in here. So I could actually probably even take out the because I don't want to be. Actually, it still doesn't matter as long as I have cavalry front line here. Whatever second troop type I put in there, it's going to be after it. So I could put cav infantry or cav spear, and it wouldn't matter. So this is actually really good. That's what you want. You want to keep it in that respect. So those are the ones that I have. So my main one is my infantry spear. If I want a cav front line, this is the troops that I want, the commanders that I want in there. This infantry one is just a dead one. It doesn't really matter because it's the same one as my infantry spear. So if I go pure infantry, I'm still going in this infantry spear one. However, if I go with a cav back line with that infantry front, I want a little more attack there right now. So for you, if you're having, and this is another reason why, you only go for 2 troops. You only go after 2 troops and their stats, and you don't try to go 3 troop types. Because if you do, you're going to end up with a weak line like this, a weak formation, and you don't want to have a weak formation like that. So, but it's always good to have it just in case, because if you are a rally leader or if you are trying to do some solos and you have to, if I have to counter this, if I'm facing infantry spear and I need to counter it, this infantry cav is probably the best that I have. Even though I could probably go a pure infantry or keep my main formation and just go all infantry against that, I could match their infantry and then counter their spears, so that wouldn't be bad as well. So that's kind of where you're looking in that regard. So there's a lot of strategy involved, a lot of kind of scouting when you attack, and if you attack and you're successful, you can see the battle report, and you need to be able to adjust kind of on the fly and do a very, very quick job to do that. So I hope this video helped. I hope that you've had an understanding of these formations and how to configure them. I've actually learned a little bit myself kind of putting this together, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I learned a little bit, and I hope you did as well. Until next time, Mac out.